at an event put together by the American Renewal Project.
Carly, be quiet for a
Hello.
second.
For everybody of religion,
Where is he?
Just
this
give him a
will
second.
be maybe the most important election that our country's ever had. So go out and spread the word. You have to get the people in your churches, you have to get them to go out and vote. You have to, whether you have bus drives, do whatever you have to do.
Joining me now, the
Here's
president
David
of
Lane.
Samaritan's Purse, Reverend Franklin Graham,
Oh, they said
the president
David
and founder
Lane.
of the American Renewal
Lane.
Project, David Lane, and Fox News contributor Dr. Robert Jeffress. He's a member of Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board. David Lane, let me start with you. You have rarely done television interviews. In fact, you have avoided the press about like Hillary has.
He sits behind
But
us.
tonight we get you on, and you just hosted
Damn
that
it.
event where Donald Trump was speaking in Orlando yesterday. How did he connect to the pastors, in your view?
I thought he did well. Thank you, Governor, for having me on. He used a term which I hadn't heard before in the repeal of the Johnson Amendment. He talked about leverage, that pastors in America have been neutered and lost their leverage. And so he connected well. He did well. As you know, there's nothing good or bad about the Democrat Party. There's nothing good or bad about the Republican Party. They're holding vessels that you pour things into, like-minded constituents. Evangelical Christians and pro-life Catholic Christians are not housed in the Democrat Party. They don't believe anything that we believe. So evangelicals, the estimated 65 to 80 million evangelicals, if we're going to turn America, are going to have to get registered and vote.
Franklin, you have conducted rallies and prayer meetings across the country at state capitals. And by the way, I want to acknowledge that none of the three of you have officially endorsed a candidate. You may have a preference, but you've not gone out and officially endorsed a candidate. But Franklin, in the rallies where you've been speaking to people at state capitals, what are people saying to you? What is it they're worried about?
Thank you, Governor. I was just in Cheyenne, Wyoming today. People are fed up. People realize that our political system is broken. Both the Republican Party is broken, the Democratic Party is broken, our process is broken, and the only hope for this country is Almighty God and His Son, Jesus Christ. And I think this election is going to come down really, Governor, to the debates. And when they can see the candidates side by side answering questions from a fair moderator, and hope the Election Commission will put a fair moderator in there. And I would vote for our friend Greta Van Susteren. She's absolutely fair, and there's no drama with her. But it's going to come down to, I think, the debates. But listen, our country is broken. And I've been leading these prayer rallies. We were in Cheyenne today, and I'll be up in the Northeast next week. And you see thousands of people come out at noon to stand on the Capitol grounds to pray. And people realize we're in trouble. And God's the only one who can fix this, Governor. He's the only one who can fix it.
You know, I would love to second the motion for Greta Van Susteren, but I know that if I did, that would absolutely kill any chances she would ever have to be one of the moderators of the debate. But a great suggestion. Robert Jeffress, I know you hear some of the same things I do from some people, particularly evangelicals. Well, Donald Trump isn't really one of us. Sometimes he's vulgar. Sometimes he says things that are uncomfortable for us as Christians, and we just don't know because he's not sitting in the front row of the church every Sunday. What do you say to those folks?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump is a friend of mine, and I'm very supportive of him for president. But, Mike, this election is about religious liberty, and Hillary Clinton is no more capable of protecting religious liberty than she is protecting her email servers. I mean, look at what she has said in the past.
Thank you.
I mean, she said at the Women in the World conference that for women to have unfettered access to abortion, quote, the deeply seated religious beliefs of many will need to be changed. She continues to demonize conservative Christians like us for believing in traditional marriage and believing that confused men shouldn't wander into women's bathrooms. Now you compare that to Donald Trump, who has said he will appoint conservative justices to the Supreme Court, justices who will not create imaginary constitutional rights for some, but protect the real constitutional rights of all people. And Governor, I want to say this as clearly as I can. Any conservative Christian who stays at home in November and allows Hillary Clinton to become the next president has forever forfeited his or her right to speak out about the sanctity of life, the sanctity of marriage, or religious freedom.
Well, I'd say that's pretty clear, Dr. Jeffress. I appreciate the candidate. David Lane, the events you've conducted over the country, not just this time, but in every election cycle, not just presidential, for at least over 20 years, have been to mobilize the pastors to just get their people to vote. You don't tell them how to vote. You don't even try to tell the pastors that they ought to tell their people how to vote, but to vote. Vote their conscience, vote the Bible. Why is that important? Well, what is it about the evangelicals? Say that if they don't vote, something doesn't happen right.
Well, somebody's values are going to reign supreme. Our values, or if our people stay home, as Dr. Jeffress said, then the other people putting their elected officials in are obviously going to impose their will, their agenda. That's the reason that evangelical Christians who didn't show up in 12 and didn't show up in 8, evangelical Christians and pro-life Catholic Christians are going to have to engage the culture and vote. Politicians are not going to save America. Wall Street is not going to save America.
Americans are going to save America.
From
God
a Christian
is.
perspective, if America is going to be saved, it will be men and women of Issachar who know the times and know what to do, who bringing our values to the public square. American exceptionalism, which is somebody's character, and virtue is a key component of freedom. So pastors and pews have to get engaged if we're going to turn the country.
David, I wish I could keep going. I would love to keep you guys on all night, and I would if I could, but I've got to go. More of this special edition of Hannity
Wow.
Over the White House right after the break, so stay with us.